Fine. That was funny. Those photos.
Okay.
Fine. That was.
Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody for tuning into the podcast. Today is our medical segment with Dr. Troy. We're actually currently not sitting in our standing around in our normal area. Today's gonna be a bit more of a laid back one due to emotionals, emotions and stuffs. So today we're gonna be talking a bit on nerves and anxiety, butterflies, and kind of how things interact with the body. I am here today with Benjamin Riley, Shy Blair, Jimmy Blair, and of course Dr. Troy himself.
Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's had a great day so far. I know it's been more of a trying day for some than others, but you hang in there. Anxiety is indeed the topic of the day for that reason. And we can start off by, if anyone wants to start sharing what their typical response to stress is. Do you get anxious? Is anxiety is something that affects everyone here, or is it more? Are you able to experience stress without the feeling of anxiety? Don't everybody all jump in at once. I know it's a very, very personal question. Does anybody want to share with that?
Sorry, I was in the middle
Yes.
of doing a tweet. I was gonna say personally for me, um, when I have stress, it's very hard for me not to feel anxiety.
Hmm.
But when I have
Yep.
anxiety itself, I don't always have stress.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Well, that's
Yep.
a good point. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much the same. I just get panic attacks and anxiety attacks whenever I get anxious or whatever, stuff like that.
Though I
Now,
can
would you?
have panic attacks, though I do know. Sometimes my anxiety and panic attacks will kind of roll in one together.
Yeah.
But currently today, my nerves have just been on edge, and the butterflies are kicking my butt today.
So I know more in your case, Rarity, it's specific thoughts that are bringing on feelings of anxiety, or even in certain cases, maybe more mild panic attacks from some of the things that we were discussing. But Jimmy, is it more? Is it random for you, or are there specific thoughts that bring it on?
Well, when it happens to me, it's quite aggressive, so it just comes on really hard for me. It just
Right.
smashes me over like a brick.
Yeah, and it's amazing, physiologically and even on a chemical level in the brain, at the different varying degrees to anxiety that there are. People can get shot at and feel absolutely no level of stress or anxiety because it's they're processing it not as a stressful event or
It's that fight
whatever.
and flight.
Right. But something like getting married can be an extremely stressful situation for that same person. They'd be
Yep.
fine taking a literal bullet, but going over wedding vows and things like that it gets the heart racing, gets the palms sweating. It's whatever response you might have. It's
I can
it's
definitely agree to that. I've had a gun straight pointing at my face. I'm like, yo, what up? Um, but looking at the days counting down and getting closer by the moment. Literally and everything, just even emotionally, getting closer to your significant other. Um, it really, once some things kind of tick and you realize stuff, it's extremely overwhelming to like the senses.
Definitely, yeah. Sensory overload is a big part of anxiety, and what we choose to perceive. We can make, to use the old expression, mountains out of molehills in our minds, and even something that requires legitimate anxiety. We will give ourselves more anxiety than perhaps we should, even on an operational level. Like too much to even function sometimes, because it's just that physiological response to what we're perceiving, what we are taking, the information we're taking in. And I think that's why everybody perceives reality a different way. So that's certainly a big part of the reason that everyone experiences anxiety a different way.
Most definitely. How about for you? Maybe you can speak on your behalf.
Yeah, well, I'm probably more in the camp of having been shot at before. It's I would say that is not as stressful to me, like especially some of the stuff I've done in the past. The prospect of bodily harm is not as stressful or anxiety giving to me as being put in specific social situations where it's going to be like you've got one chance to get this correct. There's no do-overs. That is a lot more stressful for me than anything physical. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
in terms of anxious responses, I've gotten meditation, breathing exercises, just altering, and it sounds weird, but altering perception of reality to where, you can only allow your mind so much control over your body. Just concepts like that have done really well for me over the years in things like that, where now, like, speaking in social settings, stuff like that, it's not nearly the same problem it used to be.
Yeah.
So there are things you can do, definitely,
I
to
was actually gonna say, on your point of what you're talking about,
yeah.
in that moment of knowing that there are no do-overs, that's something else that I know that extremely, grinds my gears sometimes when it comes to my emotions, because like that's some of the scariest shit out there. Knowing you have one chance only, and that really takes a toll on the emotions and the mind. Alright, because I know that day I'm just gonna be afterwards. I'm probably gonna crash after everything. Like after all the events, I'm gonna just be like, I'm out.
Yeah, I know that happens to a lot of people on wedding nights too. Is you think you've got this great evening plan with your now spouse, but after a day, after what could have been a year of wedding planning and stress, and the day of pure craziness, you're usually so damn tired.
You're like, well, we can do this tomorrow. I'm too tired.
Right, right. And that's fine. We're all human, right? We've all got energy levels. It's like The Sims. Your bar gets red, you got to recharge it. There's nothing you can do.
Exactly, exactly.
But everything will work itself out. And like I had mentioned before, when the moment arrives and the ceremony begins, you see all of your work playing out, everyone having a good time. It makes it'll make it all worthwhile, and it'll all go down well. I know. I can't wait for it.
It's definitely gonna be a day to remember. You know,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And how are I know the rehearsal is coming up soon that we will be tending to, but how are plans going otherwise? Everything going well?
pretty much a lot of things have all been kind of set in details. It's just the biggest thing are the rehearsals, and then getting all the traveling done. Transportation, making sure everything's set in place, and just trying to make sure all of the people who are supposed to be part of the bridal party is all has all been notified. And this one over here kind of needs to work on something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, I mean, there's still a little bit of time to get that done. Rehearsals will go off without a hitch, I'm sure. And yeah, we're getting close now for sure. And everyone, make sure you get your RSVPs in for the wedding just to make it easier for security to be able to let you in, do their thing.
Most definitely. Yeah, definitely make sure you guys RSVP, please. If you guys have issues finding, to where to RSVP, you can always check the city's emails for events that are going on. And then even then, if you have an issue, you can always feel free to message me or one of my colleagues, and I'm pretty sure we can all get you guys that information pretty easily.
Yeah, perfect. If you're able to be in city, come show your support. It'll be a fantastic time.
Today's a lot more of a slower paced podcast due to like our other ones. Just with everything going on. Also, everybody who tuned in do know there is no podcast tomorrow. I know we're used to going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. Um, but tomorrow is rehearsals for the wedding itself, and then Thursday is going to be a little bit different. Your main voice is going to be actually Dr. Troy himself.
Hey, hey.
He's going to be helping out with the podcast, and then going over and being the eyes for the wedding. Um, so you guys are gonna hear a bit more from him on Thursday, but the whole team's still gonna be here. So definitely tune in. Let us know what your thoughts and everything. And of course, remember to use hashtag podcast. Get a hold of us. Let us know what's going on with you, your thoughts, your ideals, everything. Um, and once again, today's topic, ideal thoughts are basically just talking about nerves, anxiety, anxiousness, just kind of how it affects each person differently. And, it's really sometimes hard to see it in other people unless they speak.
Very, very true. I mean, hell, most of the time, people are honest with their own emotions that they're feeling, let alone being honest with each other about what things they might be experiencing. I think that's one of the biggest reasons, especially in the technological world where you don't always see people's faces, is people that sense of loneliness because people aren't nearly as honest with their emotions as they should be. So you got two people experiencing the exact same thing, not talking to each other. That could be very beneficial to one another, feeling lonely as hell because they think they're the only one experiencing this. As always, I will say the most important thing that humanity has is communication.
That is very true.
It is incredible the amount of problems we make for ourselves because we don't communicate. The amount of anxiety, it's how much easier it is to have a conversation with someone than to wonder, do we need to be doing this, that on a business level, on a personal level? Do they feel the same way? Do they not feel the same way? It's communication can solve so many anxiety related problems, which
But
requires
sometimes communication can also cause that anxiety.
true double-edged sword, isn't everything?
Trust me, everything in this life is.
And everything, like always, everything in moderation. In communication, you don't want to give up too much, lest people exploit things. But you got to be, as always, you got to be careful. You got to be always got to be careful. But
And welcome back, sis, to the group.
Thank you.
We're currently just talking on, how communication can be a double-edged sword because a lot of times you need it to help get rid of the anxiety or a little bit of panic that you have, but then also at the same time of how communication can be like the main cause of what is happening.
agree
I
with you.
experienced this a lot.
Yeah, and please, if you've got anything to add to that discussion, I know you had to step away for a moment. We're happy to hear
Is there
from you, and
any
that goes
tips
for
or
everyone.
tricks you would like, to give the audience, to kind of help, some people out
Put time in your busy schedule to hyperventilate for at least 10 minutes. No.
Oh no.
Just
Do
sorry,
not
huh?
do that, please.
No, just
Oh
like
god.
anyways. No, I don't know, just see through it to the end, because if you like just kind of give up on it halfway because it's becoming too much, it just becomes a worse problem. And then it makes it hard to fix.
That's true. If you can recognize something that's causing you an issue before it expounds to a debilitating issue, it's good to grab it while it's early.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, like I said, it's it's going to be different for every person. I mean, some people can go, all right, my personal anti-stress, anti-anxiety technique is exercise, or I'm gonna go headbang to some music for a few minutes, or I'm going to, hop in a sauna, or the exact, hop in an ice cold pool, or whatever it is. There are many different ways to combat it. I like verbal affirmation, just reminding yourself, I'm here, I'm grounded, I'm good. Meditation, just based on personal beliefs, meditation is always great. Centering yourself, focusing on a single thought. If you have the ability to slow your mind down, just get your focus on a single thing, get your breathing right. It really helps.
I
Yeah,
have
it's hard.
never been able to meditate a single day in my life.
Yep.
I fall asleep.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. Yeah, it's honestly hard to do anything, not just communicate, but anything if your mind's just all over the place. It's just like slowing it down a bit and just focusing on what's going on.
I completely forget about breathing and stuff when I'm having a panic attack. It's just not there at the time.
Well, that's not good to forget that you have to breathe. So,
Which also
Let's-
contributes to your heart rate skyrocketing, because you're introducing basically arrhythmia with interrupting your breathing pattern. Yeah, it can be very difficult to control. I actually used, talking to someone earlier, I used the analogy that humans are a lot like horses. And when we're in that state of fight or flight, that panic mode, you can see it in the eyes the exact same way. It just like horses, humans are really, really sensitive creatures to other people's emotions, our own emotions, and it's really difficult to get us back down to an even frequency once something has put us up there.
Yep, the face is the first thing that a human sees when they look at a person, and
Yes.
pick up on those emotions is what we have evolved to be able to do very well for each other, kind of thing.
What's even
And-
worse is when you can feel those emotions coming off of people, and you get hit with them, kind of like a freight train sometimes.
Yeah, personally, when I experience it, it's denial at first. Those emotions aren't there. I'm not feeling that. Stop it. It's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden, I'm in a deep hole with a panic attack. It's like, fuck. I should have not been denying those feelings. I shouldn't have been trying to stop those feelings, because it just made it worse. It got more intense.
It's hard to do, but it's always good to face what is happening rather than trying to avoid it, because it just won't go away.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
The last thing I think anybody should do is refuse delivery of a thought outright, because it will make itself known if it wants to. It's almost so, instead of, it's like really like razor thin edge, but the mind, you can play tricks on your mind. And instead of saying, I refuse delivery of this, it's more a matter of, this is me responding to myself, trying to stop something that only exists because I'm putting myself in this fight or flight situation. It's like a never ending spiral of, this doesn't exist, I'm not going to accept it, but it's most certainly there because you have manifested it. So it's going to continue. And because you're saying, nope,
Yep.
this isn't going to happen, you're verifying its existence. So it's definitely going to happen. It's, the
Yeah.
the human mind is crazy stuff sometimes. It's, but
Mhm.
like I said, you can play tricks on your own brain as well, the same way your brain can play tricks on you. And sometimes you get lucky, you don't have to deal with the panic mode. Sometimes, not as much. And like I said, it's different for every person. One thing Rarity said too, I wanted to kind of circle back to, and the way you phrased it as well, is feeling emotions coming off of people. And we really are sensitive on a wavelength level to other people's emotions. They've got scientific studies of people who, like the charged frequency of emotion in a crowd, and how you can see an idea catch fire in a crowd, where, not to jump right to it, but like how a protest can turn to a riot because a singular person makes a decision, and then boom, like an emotional wave goes over people and it begins and it turns into something else. It's really, or you walk into a room and that somebody's holding in a really good or a really bad piece of news that they want to share because it's just radiating off of them. It's definitely
Isn't it
sensitive.
like the herd? I don't know if it's called this. Isn't it like the herd effect, where like if there's a big group of people feeling one thing or doing one thing, that it kind of just goes on because it's like, well, this many people are doing it, so what am I missing out on? And then like they go into it or something like that.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself, guys. My levels are growing a bit too much. You guys have to take over.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
If it gets too much, we can end it at any time.
Yeah. Make it a shorter one today. We'll have special things planned for the future anyway. So
Yeah, very busy week. So excuse us if we miss a day or two, just because there's a lot going on.
absolutely.
There's like 3 weddings going on in like the next couple weeks.
Yeah, well, one of them down, the other one coming soon. There's others that I think all of us have varying levels of involvement in that are throughout the month. It's a busy season for sure.
Definitely.
And again, feel free, anybody, feel free to steer the topic any direction you want. And if you do have any questions out there, hashtag podcast regarding anxiety, anything medicine, anything in general, we're happy to talk about anything that's on your mind, something going on in the city. Always happy to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. We love to hear anybody who's on Twitter and interacts with the show.
Yep. I'm looking right now just to see if there's anyone saying anything, but I don't believe there is.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow day. A lot of stuff's going on around the city. There's new cars that have just been imported, so everybody's up on those, and
Yeah,
they're
pretty
everywhere.
much.
Yeah, check it out. More reason to spend money on things that go vroom. Amazing.
I also heard
Thank
PD
you.
got a bunch of cars too.
And bicycles. We
Oh,
are
really?
we're gonna have bike cops now. I hope
Oh,
they make them wear
That's
shorts.
fantastic.
Oh my god.
Like the short shorts.
Yes.
That'd be fantastic.
If they're
Ooh.
not wearing spandex, Sunset PD, you're not doing it correctly.
Yeah, there are standards and there are rules.
And who the hell wants to wear those uncomfortable police pants while you're on a bicycle anyway? That's
true.
way too much friction going on there.
Yeah, you're just heating yourself up there, you know?
Self-care first, folks. Self-care first. Don't wear pants, jeans, and go bicycling.
Andy Stevens, what part of mental health would you like to talk about, or just mental health in general? Troy and Jimmy pulling out their phones at the exact same time.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That was kind of freaky, actually, how in sync you guys were.
Not
Well-
gonna lie, talking about this stuff makes me paranoid.
Does it? No.
Yeah, talking about anxiety and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even it's like the demon on your shoulder, isn't it? You're looking over and going, "Oh, yes, it is there." Right. All right. Okay. So it can definitely be an uncomfortable topic, but
Yeah.
hey, Andy, we're happy to talk about mental health in general. Any specific topic you would like to talk about, please let me know. But I am a huge advocate of self-care, picking a day where you have the least amount of responsibilities possible and focusing on improving your own either an outlook, physical well-being, and all of it wrapped into one. Make it a spa day, make it a meditation day, make it a movie watching day, whatever you're going to do, whatever you can do that you enjoy doing that's going to make you feel better. Because if you're focused specifically on your profession, what you do for work, or even other people, if you're focused on nobody, or not, I shouldn't say nobody, but if you're focused on your family, other people, and you're not focused on yourself, you're going to burn out, and you cannot be effective unless you spend at least some time focusing on yourself. So do always practice self-care. Do spend at least a day a week doing what you enjoy doing, as long as it's not harmful.
Yeah, just something to kind of refresh your mind, clear all that junk out of there. Just make it a new kind of day.
Yeah, absolutely. Really just get that energy bar back up, get that little diamond above your head as green as you can for the upcoming week, whatever time period you choose to have a self-care day. You might have a day off the middle of the week that works good for you, whatever it is. As long as you're spending some time focused on you. If you spend your day off just focused on chores and other people, then you're not really getting the time you need to recharge. I mean, hell, even if it's spending a day napping, literally recharge if you need to. Especially in America, our sleep schedules are insane. We don't get nearly enough sleep, so
Yeah. Not
get
only
naps
that,
in.
everything's scheduled for day. Not everybody's like a day person. Like me, I'm kind of like in the middle between day and night. I wake up in the middle of the day and go to bed in the middle of the night. That's
Right.
just my natural sleep cycle, and I tried breaking out of it a lot of time, but it goes back to that every time.
Yeah, the more
Yeah.
third shift mentality can be extremely difficult. Things getting more digital with the world we live in has helped a little bit,
Yeah,
but there's still that huge disconnect. You need to see a doctor. It's very, very difficult to do anything like that, barring an emergency room, usually. If you need to, if you're a night person.
yeah. I kind of like thank you to all the doctors who do that, but I do not envy them. I would feel miserable having to be like on call and just like at any moment your sleep can be interrupted because you have to get up and then go to work for an operation or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a commitment, and
Yeah.
hats off to, especially surgery, trauma care is one thing, but mental like therapists, mental health professionals, things like that, essentially rolling on the same on-call type schedule where it's incredibly necessary. Because people get hurt at all hours of the day, but there's also a high frequency of you'll find anxiety, depression, symptoms like that in more intellectually active people. You'll also find those same people are going to be nocturnal. It's just the way just the way the frequency rolls in the brain for some
I-
folks.
I personally like the night. I just have to get up really early because of work personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the fact that we don't live kind of worldwide, we don't live in societies that can accommodate our own biological clocks is a big reason for a lot of the mental health and physical health problems that people experience. That and malnourishment, especially in this country, the horrible crap we put in our bodies. But
Mhm.
but
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
that
the sleep is one big thing of it. And I mean, I've seen like studies done on it, like the mental health and like how the mind functioned, like worked way better. But like it's just like we've kind of as society have already gone too far in the way that we've designed things. It would be too expensive to start changing things to accommodate biological sleep clocks and stuff like that.
right. Well, too expensive for certain folks that are making
Mhm.
a lot of money off of everybody every day. I mean,
Yeah.
for the
None of
average
them want to
person,
let go of their money.
yes. And we'll see what happens. I mean, it's very interesting what's going on beyond the city when it comes to employment and what people will accept and not accept anymore. There are a lot of fantastic ways to make money in this technological world of ours. So
Yeah.
don't eat shit if you don't have to, folks. That's my biggest advice for all time.
Yeah, with many things, there's a avenue you can go down that'll help better yourself, not just mentally, physically, but also work wise as well.
Yeah, certainly. If you have if you have something unique you can be creative with, see if you can't make a little money off of it.
Yeah,
And that too will help with stress and anxiety.
and I can guarantee you, whatever you're doing, like if you're making art or whatever you're doing, someone's interested in it. They'll support you. Just got to find them.
Very true. 7 billion people on the planet, you will find someone that takes an interest in what you have to offer. You can't not. The odds are astronomically in your favor. Just got to have the confidence and the means to take the first steps, and it's easier and easier for people to make themselves known, no matter what you might be doing: content creation, art,
Yeah, for example,
writing.
my sis over here makes cups and stuff, like custom cups.
Mm-hmm.
And she found people who are interested in them, and they've really been supporting her on it. I think one person's like ordered 3 before, I think, from her, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, especially when it comes to, because everything is machine made now, right? You get something that looks exactly like the other thing that you order. There's no uniqueness to it. So if somebody's that's why like Etsy, things like that, I think are so damn popular. Is people love being able to go back to the handmade, seeing the uniqueness. You can literally see the love that someone poured into something, like
Yeah, exactly.
a piece of porcelain, because it's like, oh well, there it is, right there. You get that little this little fingerprint on the side of that cup.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they're really passionate about it, you can see that in the work that they're putting into it. Like if you say get this powder, you can see the passion they have for it in there by the quality that they put out of it. And another thing on the mental health note, something that I know a lot of people experience, myself included, is ADHD.
Right.
I'm glad
my
more studies are
God.
coming out about it, but growing up when it wasn't really studied that
Fucking
much,
horrible.
or like we didn't know much about it, it was tough.
Getting pumped full of fucking custom drugs that they didn't even know what was doing. Shit like that's fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to get everybody's. So, do you think that ADHD has been something that's been prevalent in societies for some time, just wasn't properly recognized? Do you think it's a more recent phenomenon for humans because of the modern stresses? I'd love to hear your thoughts on
Honestly,
ADHD.
It's been
I
around for ages.
Yeah, I feel like it's been around for so long, just because like humanity has such a long history, like, and so many people have they're just it's hard to believe that there isn't cases of it long ago. We just don't have a way of proving that because we don't know.
Literally,
We can't look
there
at
wasn't the
mummies and be like,
technology.
oh, this is their mental state. Their organs are removed.
Yes.
We can't look at their mind.
Right. Very true. Very true. And I would say, you look at some of the stories of people and you go, oh, well, that looks like hyperactivity disorder. They were, you hear people that are described as scatterbrained or moving from one topic to the other, being unable to focus, but being incredibly intelligent people. You've got, King George is a pretty good example of someone who was pretty smart, but probably had ADHD and a host of
A lot of
other.
musicians back then probably had it too. Like they were able to think of all these ideas because look, they've just got all these ideas running through their head and they're able to control it. And it's crazy to think
Yeah,
that some people can do that.
it's kind of like how mine is. Like when it comes, it's also like when it's a subject that a person isn't really interested in, the ADHD just does not let them take in that information. It's really hard for them to take in that information. Like schooling was hard growing up because it's important, but it wasn't like a thing that I liked to do, and so like it was hard to get passing grades.
Like,
And but when it comes to things like my hobbies and stuff like that, like I can sit there for hours and work on something for hours, fully intended on it. It doesn't mean I'm dumb. It just means my interests are somewhere else and my knowledge lies somewhere else as well.
exactly.
And I know it's the same for a lot of other people. It's just harder for like ADHD people to learn things that is kind of the common thing.
I try to learn as much as I can because I know that if I know all these things, then I shouldn't have problems with talking about it. And that's why I want to try and learn as much as I can.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
think
I want to
we
make
don't.
one comment on this.
Sure.
When talking about that is definitely with the fact of having, I am diagnosed with ADHD and ADD. So I can definitely say that, it's really hard if your mind's not into it. If I don't have interest in something, it's extremely hard for me to learn.
yeah.
I know in high school, I had this one teacher. I had her for fucking 4 years. Tried to teach me geometry. Could not teach it for her life. And I went into a college that was made for people with like disabilities and everything. Because of how my mind works and everything. And I had a teacher. She actually taught me geometry because I'm a carpenter. So she actually taught me what I was doing daily for like my work and everything was actually geometry itself. And I went through the entire geometry course within 2 weeks because of how fast I was able to hold on to that because it was a passion that I was already doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially with something like math, it's incredibly effective to find a real world example that you are familiar with and just haven't made the mental connection that this is the same thing, and you can visually then place yourself in that in the situation where it makes sense.
Yep.
That's really really handy, especially for something like math. To understand it, something that might not click because you can't visualize the concept. You put it in your real world situation. It's like, oh, okay, got it.
I'd be like, oh, I've been doing this, my entire life. I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm. That's also why I'm glad that technology is evolving kind of the way it is, because schools are more easily starting to be able to accommodate for such mental health issues and challenges such as ADHD, like because they can have things explain it in a way that is most effective to someone with it.
What also matters though is getting those people who know mental health into these school systems.
Exactly.
To actually really help out these children that extremely need it.
Yeah, when I was in school, I felt like none of the teachers really understood what was going on.
Exactly. That's how I felt as well.
Yeah, certainly without having it's the at least in America and quite a few other countries across the world, it's the norm to just kind of try and shape children into whatever shape is on the board and force them through and be like, oh well, there's another one that kind of made it, that success, instead of being able to focus the funds on and attention on paying for the necessary services to help people. We at least that I can mostly only speak for America and a couple other countries in terms of military spending, but we'd rather buy 1,000,000 bullets than educate 100 kids.
I can say from my school, they actually fired, well, not fired, but they let go per se, the mental health teachers and everything who were helping these children, because they just simply didn't have the funds anymore.
Say nothing except for the fact that,
but of course they could, full on support, the sports team, and this is a long thing. Everybody's heard it. Oh, the
yes,
sport
right.
teams gets everything. A lot of you guys actually realize that if you were sports, you were praised half the time because you could do something for the school.
And you were going to go on to be an entertainment factor in the bread and circus kind of lifestyle situation that a lot of at least Western countries have. You look at just the consumerism in the country, and fast food, entertainment just constantly thrown at you, so you're not really focused on what's being done otherwise.
Yeah, it's like, what's there to be sad about? Look at the clown, eat your burger.
Pretty much.
It just covers it all up.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Like why you said you're in this beautiful country that has all this shit to do, but that's not a reason.
No, again, like I was saying, they'll focus on sports programs, things like that, because it's going to be an entertainment factor for the future to continue that, keep those gears grinding.
Funds to the school.
Right, well, exactly, for that reason, and that person will continue to go on to get a sports scholarship that they have to rely on, and to hopefully get a degree in something else. But a lot of these folks will wind up with just basic college degrees with no specification because they were
because were so highly focused on the sports because that was kind of tossed into them once you get into that line of focus. Like, it's all tosses you. You know, the teachers will cheer you on. You know, they advertise you out. Like, oh yeah, he's on, they're on the football team,
Yeah,
I
Give
don't know.
support them, give everything to them.
I've seen this
They're,
firsthand
they're,
with my
they're gonna
cousin.
be the future.
He not only did he get a scholarship and go to like a university somewhere, he also passed with like honors, and like the whole school in our town the whole talk was about him. Like the whole town just pretty much knew his name. If they didn't know him, they kind of knew his name.
Yeah, especially in the smaller town scenario, that's the folks that'll be talked about for a long time because they were able to make it out of the situation with their talents. Yeah, and I mean, it's like, again, it's not just sports. It's the acting ability. We put a heavy focus on entertainment. You're either involved in the entertainment industry in some way, or you're in the service industry in some way, and that's probably what 75% of the workforce in America at the very least.
Yeah.
I wish, though, that the arts program was more recognized as an entertainment factor.
Well, in terms of
Whoa.
actually classical art, and I think you mean as opposed to just the Hollywood art.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is the actual art program itself, for painting, drawing. For the children who are more creative. I don't know about you guys for when you guys were in school, but for me personally, the art program was like one of the last things to ever be funded. And so
Yeah, it
the
was the
teacher
same
was
for my
always
school.
having to, take things out of her pocket to help
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Yeah, it
It's
was
like,
the
because
same
first
here
the
as well.
sports, second band, and then, then comes art.
Yeah, oddly enough, when I was in school, none of the programs at the time when I was there got cut. I don't know if they're still there, but we had like a lot of extracurricular stuff. Of course, there's PE that will never go away because it ties into the sports thing. But we had
Right.
arts, we had a music, we had a computer labs. We had a lot of stuff, and at no point did they cut it out, which I guess was cool. But like at the same time, it was like 2 teachers working all of those programs, so they were all overworked. And honestly, we ended up not really learning anything because they're stretching 2 teachers over like 6 different courses.
Right. In my situation, growing up in that smaller town scenario, they wouldn't cut programs; they would cut entire school districts. So
Oh, good lord. They did
yeah,
that here.
Yeah,
But what didn't
they
make
did that here
sense
too.
is they cut one of our school districts. They cut out one of the middle schools.
right.
But actually no, they cut out one of our elementary schools, and then built this entire fucking huge ass elementary school. Why are you gonna cut the district and then build one on top of where it was just cut out from? Like, they full on demolished it, everything, and then built this entire brand new one. I'm like,
Makes you
what's
wonder
the
who got
point?
kickbacks. Like, who made money off of that? Where?
Somebody made some kickback for knowing that school was never gonna make it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what
I
was
mean,
crazy enough, it's like kind of smack dab. Well, not smack dab in the middle of our town, but it's in the area where most of the houses are. How about that? So kind of in the central of where the housing community is, basically within my city or my town. So it was always packed. Like, you could drive by there and there'd be like a huge ass line for like 30 minutes for people trying to drop off their kids.
right.
And then they built this entire new school, and that school now looks like the size of what my high school main building was. is actually. And these three, I've actually showed them like some pictures of like how my high school actually looked. And imagine an elementary school being that size. There's no point. You do not need a 3-foot story building for elementary kids. I'm sorry. You really don't.
Right, right. Well, I mean, definitely depending on the community. I mean, like New York City, they need
I'm
more of
talking about for
everything.
like small towns though, like
Right, right.
because we have two of them. We have two elementaries that cover both sides of the town, and then you just destroyed one and made it the size of the fucking high school main building.
That's pretty strange. And how many high schools for the
Yeah.
district?
One.
Right. That's really strange.
That is really strange.
We have one high school. We have one middle school. And
Any
two
colleges or
elementaries.
universities?
We have one, but it's kind of on the outskirt of the town. But yeah, we have we have one community college.
Yeah, same. Ours is like also pushed to the side, out of the town, kind of like out of sight.
Ours
Well-
isn't that far out, but it is past the interstate. So
Well, lucky our one's right beside our school, the main high school. It's built into the high school, so like all those people are able to do all these.
your school, how
correct.
it looks is phenomenal.
Yeah,
compared
it's
to
a
like what we've
perfect
seen
high
for
school.
ours.
Yeah, it's perfect for like anything you want to do. Like, there's farms, there's full on shit. Like, you can do anything at that high school, but there's a lot of things that get cut out as well.
Yeah, that's also the sad thing when you know, because of where you are actually from, when you fly back home from, Sunset City here, it's crazy to, kind of see what you guys go for like school. Like yours looks like a full-fledged college. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
It looks like,
It's the-
like East Carolina University or something like that. Like some of these big, like universities out there.
yeah, and then all the primary schools. There's about 4 primary schools in my area, and each one has their own district. So the schooling here is really good in my opinion. But yeah, they do cut shit out that people are interested in for some reason. It doesn't make sense to me.
I wanted to ask Jimmy for your high school sounds like it more is also like a trade school area for people.
It
So
is.
when you're in high school, do you get to pick certain classes? Like,
Yes.
say you want to be an electrician, you can be like, okay, well, cool, electrician trade classes then. Like
So,
vocational?
At our school, there's computer tech classes. There's French, Japanese, and then
Damn.
the main language Maori.
Right.
There's farms. There's a massive gym that you can go to that has like certain areas for different sports. Like there's squash courts, there's basketball courts, there's your gym. It's actually a really nice school. It's the biggest one one of the biggest ones in New Zealand, and it also has one of the most it has the most students, I'm pretty sure, for any high school in my country.
Like the
It's
Auckland
a very
area?
big school. No, I live in like the Christchurch region.
Oh,
It's
okay, gotcha.
Rangiora, that area. If you've never looked at it, it's actually a really nice town, and
It's beautiful.
yeah, like there's so much stuff you can do here, but a lot of the stuff is more trades and stuff, which is awesome for people like me. But then there's like not many like arts or anything like that. It's more trades.
I can say that I actually went to I wasn't able to go to college. I went to a trade school, and it was one of the most funnest things. Because of the high
Yeah,
school that
it's
I was
amazing.
in, they actually had a carpentry class which I was able to go to, and I
Yeah,
fell in love with it.
Out.
And I was able to stick with it, and I went to a trade school for it. I was actually going to do between welding, veterinarian, and carpentry, and I chose to go carpentry. But what's even cool is the fact I'm actually able to go back to that trade school if I want to learn more. So so I was thinking of actually going back to maybe doing a veterinarian clinic.
Yeah.
So I enjoy trade schools a lot because they do teach you so much in a short period of time. But the fact that, like I said, the one that I went to is actually made for people with disabilities, so that was like truly amazing. Because they really devote them, to each person's, different disability, which is really cool. Because we had a wide variety of people. We had
We
people
were
that were
very lucky.
blind. We had people who couldn't hear. There's a few people in wheelchairs, and then you had every single person who had a very small, minute mental health, from anger to schizophrenia to like anything. So we just had a wide variety of people staying on campus, and it was really cool to see so many different people just chill out, hang out together. And one of the biggest things is that we always kept talking about is so many people look so fucking normal. And that's just something I believe everybody still sees today. Just because somebody looks normal does not mean you know what is going on in that inner shell. And it's crazy to hear because we had so many people talk about, oh, you guys look so normal. What do you mean you're going there? Just because somebody looks normal does not mean they're not going through shit.
Yeah. It was the same with my school. Like, there were a lot of people that had problems and stuff. And they didn't really get much help, even though there was, like, help on campus where I was. Like, no one actually went to it. And it actually made me sad because there's therapists, there's, like, people that basically proficient in mental health at that school, and no one ever really went to them because they were too scared to do that stuff. Because I talked to people and they just didn't want to because they were scared of what would happen.
A lot of people are scared to, kind of reach out because the fact of there's so many people out there who don't understand mental health and just believe, oh, it's a fake. Oh, you're just, you're making an invisible crutch. And a
Exactly,
lot of
and that's what
people
I've
get
been
highly
experiencing.
aggressive also when it comes to that. And it's extremely sad to see that.
I was one of those people. I kind of distanced myself from that when I went to high school, since there was so much more stuff to do and the teachers actually kind of tried to help. It was a lot less stressful on me. But when I was in primary school, intermediate school, it was exactly like that. Like, they just didn't care. They wouldn't help anyone. They would just sit you in a corner and expect you to snap out of it. And it's like, that's not how it works. You need to talk to these people and help them rather than just punish them for being them. But that's why I appreciated my high school. It actually helped me quite a lot, having those people there.
Yeah, nothing is more damaging to someone seeking help than that threat of ostracization or stigmatization from someone that is either going to handle the situation far too publicly, or it just doesn't understand how to approach it, or just from peers in general. Yeah, the whole, I would say, just rewinding a little bit, the whole idea of normalcy on a societal level is such a loaded topic. Who, on a societal level, is deciding normalcy is essentially the majority, but the majority can't ever speak for everyone's perception of reality, and that it's such a dangerous thing to try and either base yourself or other people off of a concept of what's normal on a societal level.
Yeah, it is honestly damaging to a lot of people because they don't feel safe being able to express themselves.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I'm glad that a lot of it's being worked on. A lot of these things have gotten a lot better. There's more helplines. There's more resources for people ADHD, like the topic of ADHD, I brought it up because it is also getting a lot more attention, a lot more help for it as well. And before it was almost completely neglected. Like, you're not learning the subject because you're lazy, not because you don't understand it, because you're lazy. That's an argument I always heard a lot from people.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
lazy.
I hated that shit.
I can't get my mind around it. Like, and like you can't voice it to anybody either because they just don't understand.
Because you try to stand up for yourself when you're viewed as back talking.
Exactly.
It's amazing now to see, that's being worked on. It's just what's sad is that it's affected us so badly. The fact
and
that
now it's only just getting
now that it's just finally starting to, really being focused on.
It does
the fact
hurt.
that so many people who are just like us from our, our time. God, that makes me sound old when I say that.
Well, I mean, times change really fast in schooling and in health.
It's so sad though, the fact that after we're out of a system, because we couldn't take it anymore, we gave up. We lost a sedative, and then shit seems to change. And like, are you kidding me? Like, why couldn't this just been worked on a tad bit faster when I was in that schooling system?
Well, honestly, the ideal situation is that it shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. But that's a perfect society that doesn't that I know of exist.
They just expect, like, what they did for me. They just gave me pills and expected them to help me rather than talking to me and actually figuring out how I think. And they just do these things without thinking, and it ends up fucking a lot of shit up.
So many doctors because of that shit. Because
I know
it takes. What's sad is it takes so long for people to go through a system of doctors, because so many of them believe it's acceptable just to see somebody. You look at them for 5 minutes, and automatically, they're so good at their job, they instantly know what's going on. So here, you've been here for 5 minutes. Take these drugs, you'll be fine.
Yep, that's exactly what they did for me.
So much growing up.
9 years taking pills that were just fucking my head up more than what it would have done if I had just talked to people.
On a fundamental level, I think a lot of countries really fail, not on education in general, but on supporting people post-traditional education. Not just helping people continue to figure out where they fit into society after coming out of traditional education, continuing to give them the skills to learn new means of being productive, not just on a mental health issue, but you look like on a technological issue, like you did mention, medicine, education change so quickly. I mean, it's honestly, everything changes so quickly with technology continually rapidly evolving now, and people lose their jobs because of it every day, but there's still no support system in place to teach people new skills to continue to be productive. There's no logic behind that.
Like, it does annoy me a bit that so much of that stuff does happen. It's actually very common. It's annoying to me.
Technological evolution is inevitable. We can't stop it. People are going to lose old jobs. When the car was unveiled on the streets for the first time, horses' days were numbered as the primary source of transportation. It's what's going to happen. But that doesn't mean that you can't teach the old ranch hand how to effectively work and safely work. That's a whole other thing, on an assembly line making a car, and it shouldn't have to be on their dime because they were making a living off of something that's no longer productive. I mean, any civilized nation, government should want their people to be productive. So why would you not assist people in doing so? Computer skills, computer literacy, just more effective ways of contributing in a technological world. It's amazing how
learning it all yourself.
Right, exactly, and it's amazing
sucks.
like in the Midwest, for example, how many people are still on dial-up internet because it's the
Oh,
only
good lord.
thing that's available? And how are you supposed to fit in a new technological world when in some cases the technology hasn't reached you yet? We're immediately at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it is very scary. Like that, so many people like they do these jobs for like 20 years of their lives, and then all of a sudden everything changes in 10 years. It's a lot for a lot of people.
It's terrifying, and it's made more terrifying by the fact that the the nation into which they've paid taxes and contributed to their entire lives aren't offering any support, despite the fact that said nation has a heavy hand in how technology is developed and used.
Exactly. It could be used in such a beautiful way, helping people, but it just doesn't get used to its full extent. It's just, if you want to do something, you have to do it yourself. There's no way for them to teach you it because they don't do it at all. Like now it's starting to change, like people are saying, to be able to learn these things, but like we were saying before that, it was really hard to get through that stuff without getting in trouble because we're seen as not smarter than the other people, even though it's not the case at all. We just learn differently, like she was saying. We just need those. We need those things to be there to help us out, rather than them being held back from us and having to do it on our own, and then getting stressed out because of it, and then not wanting to
it
do it.
definitely adds to the stress if you can't keep up with it. Then you get left behind, and then it just
You
makes
feel
it.
like
It's certainly it's getting to the point where everything's moving so fast that if you make one slip up, you fall so far behind.
Oh, that reminds me
oh my god,
of
that's
this
true.
thing that I watched. It was so many years ago, but it was a YouTube video, but it's definitely speaking behalf on like exactly what you just said. The fact that you can stand still and you can honestly see the world continuously moving on without you, and that is some of the most scariest shit to ever think about.
Yeah,
Is
it
the fact
honestly
that
is.
you could take one moment to try and gain yourself better, and you come back and the world's completely different.
And then all that shit's already now being introduced. It's like, where was that shit when I was struggling with it? Like, why couldn't that have been a thing that was already in
I was
place?
gonna say, I think that's the main old age question. Where's that when I needed it?
Yeah, exactly. It's honestly, even though it's only just being like thought out now, it should have really been a thing years ago.
Just that kind of perspective just really just shows how small all of us are in not just the planet but the
And this big
galaxy,
machine,
this
all these
universe. Yeah,
human cogs.
just like everything. Like you look at one thing and you can easily put perspective on where you are currently.
Exactly. It's terrifying to me
It's
personally.
it's very true. I tell people all the time, you focus on your own minuscule things. It's good to kind of zoom out and look at the macro instead of the micro sometimes. Never forget that we are sitting on top of a ball of rock and water that is traveling hundreds of thousands of miles an hour a second. We've got a really big ball of fire next to us. It's getting bigger and bigger. It's like, you can't control any of it. All of this is extremely wild. At some point, you just have to accept the chaos of absolutely everything that's going on. Um, I think, you know, on an individual level, being able to give up that sense of control by looking at the macro of the situation, reminding yourself it's okay to not control everything because in actuality, you don't control
Shit.
anything. and that's okay too.
That
It,
that life lesson right there. Sorry to interrupt you, but that
no, you're
life
fine.
lesson is one of the most hardest things that ever took me to realize. Because growing up, a lot of you don't know, I have a lot of issues with like my emotions because I have multiple mood disorder. So for people who don't actually know what multiple mood disorder is, basically think of it like colored wires. Red to red, green to green, blue to blue. But in my chants per se, they're always messed up, and they're always actually changing, which is the thing that sucks. That's why when it comes to anxiety or stress, things like that, it messes me up so much. Um, but just knowing how long it takes to strive and really show yourself that you cannot control fucking everything. And I would cry so much growing up over it because there's so much that I felt like I should have been in control of. And if you really take the chance and step back, you're really gonna learn there's a very, very small percentage of what you are actually able to control. And I honestly
You're just
believe
a
that
tiny
is
cog in this massive
exactly,
machine.
and I believe that's something that scares a lot of people. To
Especially
realize
me,
that
I
they
hate
can
it.
only control a very small percentage what goes around them. And that, it's really crazy to think about it at the end of the day. That there's so much that is offered to us, there's so much around us, there's so many opportunities. But there's only so much one person can actually do in a time, and in a very small time frame. And I honestly do believe once people start looking at it that way, they're going to be able to, really control what they do with their time a lot easier because they're going to realize what they're able to control. Because there's so much that's not, so much that's not offered. There's so much that has so many issues. So there's a lot when it comes into, that time frame. And just honestly realizing, like, shit, this is really all I can do. So this is what I should be focusing and not on what I cannot do.
Exactly. It honestly is really draining when you think like that. Like when you think you can do everything for everyone, it just drains you to the point where you can't do anything. It's like
We're not
then
even
you can't
feeling
help
like you
anyone.
can, wanting to, be able to be there for everybody.
Yeah,
It's like a
exactly.
spoon system that me and my sister talk about so much. You wake up with so many spoons, and every action you do takes a spoon. Everything you do can take so many spoons, and then you're left with no spoons. And then you could have 12 hours left in the day already, and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly.
was saying too when you had to step away. Rarity is I'm a huge proponent of self-care, picking a day where you're focused on yourself, because even if it's a day away from work, if you're focused on other people, other matters, you're not taking the time you need to recharge, do what you want to do. Like Rarity said, you got to give yourself a day to get your damn spoons back before you keep handing them out. It's not an infinite supply.
My spoon factory isn't running at full capacity.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just an interesting way of looking at it. So just thinking about the topic is stressful. It's just another way of thinking about it. Like your spoon is like your level of energy. If you want, you can relate it to fuel or so on. It doesn't have to be spoons. It's just a way of thinking about it that doesn't make it. That kind of just makes it more comfortable to think about.
It
Yeah,
makes it a
exactly.
lot more easy to talk about as well. Communicating like that as talking about, hey, if you want to, like you said, talk about the fact, if we don't even talk about it in spoons, talk about it a fuel tank. You travel. every so many
Yeah,
destinations, it's gonna take a percentage of that gas, and it's the
yeah,
equivalent. It's the equivalent to the spoons. Every single, every place you go takes a percentage. You know, and here you are. You like I said, you can be halfway through your day, and well, fuck, I have no more gas.
yeah. When I talk about things as they are, it makes me start feeling those emotions rather than helping with them. It just, yeah. Talking about anxiety, you start gaining anxiety. It's just, well, that's what I have personally. When I talk about certain emotions, I start gaining those emotions because I'm thinking about those emotions.
Yes, yeah, you do, on an emotional level, and that's where perception is reality. So if you begin to think about something, you're perceiving those things, it's possible to trigger a physiological response as a result, certainly.
Yeah, that's mainly what happens to me. I start talking about anxiety, I start getting those shivers and those shakes from what I usually experience from anxiety, and it doesn't help me at all compared to what she was saying, like referencing it to something else. It doesn't put you in that emotional state.
And in a way, it's almost a form of post traumatic stress that you have
PTSD.
manifested in yourself because your body is immediately having a response to being exposed to these thoughts. It's the same way where a veteran will hear a loud noise and a panic attack ensues. It's same situation.
Yeah,
It's it doesn't necessarily need to be combat or anything like that. Like post traumatic
could
stress
be
can happen
anything.
to anyone. You can give like in those situations in the stressful world that we live in, you can subject yourself to post traumatic stress just by repeated negative stimuli and
Especially,
responding to that.
especially with
Fun
racing
fact.
thoughts, you go through all
Um,
that shit.
I suffer quite a lot from PTSD. Actually, I may not seem like it.
That doesn't
Uh,
sound like a very fun fact to me.
fun,
Fun
unfun
fact.
fact.
No, it doesn't.
Fun fact: I'm tormented daily.
Yeah, like what?
No, but I don't know. It's the reason I said fun fact is because some people can really do learn how to live with it. And so that's why certain things affect me more than others. So a lot of things when it comes to people, you never really know honestly what everyone's going through because so many people could have those moments. Some can just simply be suffering from PTSD, some from anxieties, from stress. Everybody can have their own little box. But then also, you could have people like me who have the entire fucking mixing bowl of everything.
Yeah, it really sucks.
And
Like,
it's really crazy to see how certain people can live and, survive with things like this. Because you never truly know what people are going through. And I think that's truly amazing to, look at the human body, look at their mind. Talking a little bit, I'm gonna go a bit psychology. A course I took for 2 years. Absolutely love psychology because thinking about it and being able to learn how the human brain works, with emotions or as you age, chemical imbalances, everything really does work together. And some of it's bad, some of it's harmful, some of it's really good. But it's truly amazing to see, the amount of weight, stress being positive or negative, um, you know, that the human body can actually withstand. And it's amazing to see the people who suffer so much can be some of the best people out there. Something Ben's actually stated to me before is that he's a bit shocked about how positive I am every day. after listening to a lot of the shit I've went through in my life. And, it honestly just goes to goes to show you never really know what someone's going through until they are willing to open up and, really show those demons of them.
Yeah.
It's funny in a not amusing way that adversity it really encourages the ability to appreciate when fortuitous things happen and where you find yourself in a situation where you don't have to be fighting against whatever you were fighting against, where the privilege of not having something that is an adversary is often taken for granted by those that are in that situation.
Yeah, people just can't understand, and they take it for granted the fact that they can't understand, so they try to deny that it happens altogether.
That is very true. That's a big facet of human nature, and I think a big part of the reason why people who are in positions to help don't even focus on the fact that they can help, because it's not in their sphere of understanding, so it doesn't even come up as something that they should or can do,
Exactly, which it shouldn't be like that. Like, people should be looking out for each other and helping each other rather than like discriminating because they don't understand exactly what's going on, so they don't want to be a part of it. And it honestly hurts some people because they want to have these relationships with people.
Yeah, I mean, just on a basic factual level, 1% holding 90% of a nation capital wealth is not a sustainable situation.
Really not.
I know, speaking behalf on that, when it talks, talking about people, or, how people decide to treat them, when they don't know what's going on. I personally have strived to put a certain variety of people around me due to what I've went through in my life. And a really good variety is currently who is all sitting here with me today at this moment. And that even counts you, Dr. Troy. If you look at us in this room, a lot of you today have most likely heard there's a very large variety of people here. We even have been still here, even though he hasn't really spoken much.
I'm here.
But there's a very large variety of people, and we all come from different standpoints, and we have all went through our lives differently. And like I said before, you really never know what's on somebody's plate, and it's truly amazing at the end of the day to sit back and look at it. We've all went through shit. We've all had our really tough times. But the most amazing thing in my eyes is that we can sit here at the end of the day and, just talk.
We
just
appreciate each other.
And appreciate, we've all went through shit. We've all went through those hard times. But we have continued to chosen to push forward. Not let that, not let the stupid shit, actually stop us.
I think one of the what has always kept me going, and really is what continues to be one of the most amazing things to me, is every single day that passes, you can meet someone with a perspective that will completely change your own. You might learn something that could completely change the course that your life has taken, no matter how hopeless or how a kind of an end of the rope a situation might feel. You might experience something the next minute that completely changes absolutely everything about how you're perceiving a situation or your outlook on a situation. Like,
oh, good Lord, you could never be more truer in that standpoint.
Like, when I first met these people, like my family, like literally, I was really secluded, antisocial, wouldn't talk to anyone, and then these people have opened my mind and helped me to be able to talk to people, and
We got this man
made it very clear.
stripping on tables now.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
Yeah, he's a
what's
little bit
really
too
what's
open.
Not
what's
even
really
wanting to
funny
talk to
is
anyone.
a lot of people don't know how me and a lot of my family members have met. My adopted son here. The crazy thing is, we met in the city that we moved from. What's really funny is how we met. It was raining, and me and my family were in the boxing ring. But if you lost, you had to start stripping. So at the end of it, we were all pretty much just in like our underwears or bras or a bikini set, and we're just fighting. We're just duking it out like crazy. And he's just outside the window in the rain, like, what the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah. I stared at them for a good 10 seconds, didn't say anything because I was just so terrified to talk to people.
And then we all
because
noticed him, and then we all kind of rushed him, be like, yo, join us.
oh, that spiked my anxiety to a max. But I was like, sure, I'll join in.
Yeah, no,
Why
I'm
not?
glad you stuck with us, because I mean, like, it wouldn't be the same without you here.
I
Honestly,
appreciate
those
that,
those
honestly.
memories are extremely fun. Just duking it out in the boxing ring, and like we went to pill so many times, but we just continued fighting and fighting, and it honestly became a little thing that we did almost all the time. It's just just going there, just having fun, just duking it out. And what's amazing is people kept seeing us fight, and we had so many. We started gaining an audience because of
Yeah.
just how long we were sitting there. Oh, it's really cool. Some people don't test me here, guys. It's a bit different. I haven't fought since being here, but I can say in the other city, I was quite the champion. With
Oh my
fighting.
god, you'd kick everyone's ass. Like, honestly, like, by the time we actually finished, you were fully clothed and everyone else was just fucking naked. You might have had your shirt off.
I decked everybody's lights out. And it was
It was
so amazing
amazing
because
to
I
see.
had this family of 4 guys. I had the father, the 3 sons. I beat all the children. Oh, that sounds bad. I beat his
Oh.
sons.
That sounds really bad, yeah.
It was
Went out to the house
consensual
and started
beating.
beating
It was
children.
consensual beating.
It was a consensual boxing fight, okay? But, his sons lost. They got, butt hurt. They said, go, Dad, fight for us. And I beat their
Man would
father.
get fucked up.
Man would
He's
like, this girl, this woman, what the fuck? It was
I know, it's amazing.
They're like, and then they
That
all
was
kind
my
of left so
favorite time.
sad. They were so sad because
I was
I had
never sad, I
beat
was
every
laughing.
single one of them.
And we're out here on equal playing field, and you're out here fucking beating everyone. It's like, damn.
Hell, mom's a fighter. What can I say, man? I know how to fight.
I know. It's crazy. Honestly, like, you just free punch people, just bang, 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 dead. And it's like, oh, oh, okay. Remind me not to fight her in the fist fight when we're on the streets.
Damn.
But it was so fun though. Just sitting there, just boxing with everybody. Like I said, so many
Just
people
having
started
fun.
joining us, and it was just honestly so fun.
The amount
just
of
sitting
like
there, getting
different
to
strings
know
of our
people.
family. The amount of different string offs we had of our family, like, we had so many people just always there to be there for us, and it was always such a good experience to be there. It was great. And then we came here and it was even better. Like, the experiences became even more like greater. It's great to see, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of our
always
characters been built up from being here. Like, it's honestly been great.
and it just shows again how important communication is. There's these entire relationships that wouldn't exist sitting right here that they wouldn't exist without that communication. That simple, if Rarity, if you hadn't and the others hadn't gone over to Jimmy to initiate that, it's
I would have
this
walked off
situation,
'cause,
right?
Like
Yeah,
I
because
So
he
was I
was
was
standing there
doing
with one
stuff.
of the people I was fighting, like, hey, yo, there's a dude watching us. I'm like, what? Man standing out in the rain, and I mean, it is hail and rain. I mean, it was one of the worst storms that we'd seen in that city. And we're like, yo, what the hell? Get out the rain, come inside. We're all just yelling at him, join us. Get out the fucking rain, man. Come inside, dry off.
And I talked to one of my now brothers, and I was like, how do I join this group of people? They seem so like infatuated on being kind to each other. I just wanted to be a part of them, and then he was like, well, you've got to talk to people around. And then all of a sudden, she just walked up to me and was like, hey, you want to be my son? I'm like, oh, okay.
you are now adopted.
That would really happen at the end of the night, because we were all just chilling, and because we had mad respect, for each other. When we get in that boxing ring, we call each other up, like, yo, I want to fight you now, or like, let's fight again. But we never
That was
talk shit about each other. We never, be rude or
obviously it
anything.
was
We were always
banter,
so
but
positive to each other.
it was banter, and that's what I appreciated because I'm so used to that banter between people. Like it just reminds me of my like what I do in here as well. It's just like amazing that a group of people had the same like-minded thoughts that I have, like being able to talk to each other and not get like hurt by what we have to say, just being like, hey, I'll say the same stuff back to you someday, and I'll hit you back.
It was just honestly one of the best things to do. Honestly, guys, if you have a big family and y'all want to have some fun, go to a boxing ring, guys. It's some of the most fun things. You may take quite a few pillbox trips, but honestly, it was like some of the best things to do. It was so fun, and we just always had so much laughter. And it's really cool when
Brought
other
us
people
closer.
start joining in too, and you start having family wars against other people. Honestly, you'll never know what you can create. And actually just taking that chance, let off some steam and everything, and it's honestly
Exactly.
so amazing. At the end of the day, it was so fun. It was so delighted, and it got to the point because that was the first time we did anything like that, and it became a family routine in the other city. It's like every few days we just go there and just fight and everything, and it was just so fun. And with how
Also,
well I was with fighting too, I was able to teach a lot of people how to fight.
yeah. And also that being my first day in the city, like I was very like I didn't know anyone. I didn't know who to talk to, like what to do, and they picked me up and showed me the ropes, and
Who
it
knew by
honestly,
walking by a boxing ring in, a complete, utter shit show of a storm that you were going to meet your future forever family?
yeah, exactly. It's crazy to think about, like just little experiences. Like it doesn't matter what it is, could turn into something so much more, and that's why people need to talk. It's because if without talking, then you'll never experience these things. I, if I if I just walked off and didn't want to talk to you, then this would have never happened. Like it's just crazy to think about that just a small conversation could lead to a whole new list of events that go down.
It's like
I
something
wonder.
oh, I'll let you say
Oh,
first.
I wonder where Jimmy would be if we hadn't talked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. I was gonna say though, it's like something I said before. In another podcast. I don't know if it was like the fourth or like the third one or whatever. Um, but I had mentioned before, when meeting new people, you really have no idea how much you are affecting somebody when you first see them. How you treat somebody for the very first time could send them over the edge or could completely change their life. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know what line they're on. You don't know if they just got the worst news forever in their life. Somebody could have died in their family. They could have just been, diagnosed with cancer. Could have just lost somebody they loved. Or they could have just had the best news, like, I just got a promotion, and they want to, shout it. You never know what someone's going through when you see them. And
Just
honestly,
just
how you
saying.
treat people is honestly how somebody's gonna react. And I always try my best to treat people with respect when I see them because of that.
When I first met you guys, like, I was fucking low. Like, I just kept
You
getting
were in debt.
killed, taken hostage. I was just getting fucked the whole day, and then just these group of people wanted to hang out with me, and it changed everything. Like, that is a really good example of, like, how it can help just talking to people and being nice to them, because, like, none of this would have happened. Like, I would have probably flown out and never gone to any other city. I probably would have just gone back to what I was doing. But then, now it's 4 months later and I'm still here, so it obviously went well.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending on what you believe, either it was a wonderful coincidence or it was something that was meant to happen, but it was certainly for the best.
Exactly.
I also do want to say to everybody who's now just tuning in, we have, say, 20 minutes left of the podcast, maybe a little bit more. My time's a bit off. But I want to welcome everybody to the podcast. We have myself. My name is Rarity Blair. We have Benjamin Riley, Shy Blair, Jimmy Blair, and Dorian Troy with us today. And it's a medical segment most of the times. And today we've just been really talking about mental health things, far from wide variety of things when it comes to mental health. But just, really taking that time to, sit back and have a mental health day, really think on things, how things are affected. We've also talked about school systems, how they affect, mental health as well. Just like I said, just everything all in between. Do use hashtag podcast if you guys would like to get in contact with us. Let us know what you're thinking. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, anything at all, use hashtag podcast, and that is the fastest way any of you will ever get in contact with us when we're live.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah.
The activity on Twitter, it's great, and we're really glad to hear from anybody who's tuning in, wants to ask questions or bring up topics. Ask our guest question, whether it be Dr. Troy, or Mayor Juice, or whoever else we bring on.
Yeah, I mean, this is really all about everyone out there listening. So if you want to steer the conversation in any particular direction, please let us know. We're happy to accommodate, happy to talk about anything, happy to hear from you in any way. And for those that have listened before, we do occasionally bring on some kind of spur of the moment guest speakers that want to stop in. It's not, we don't encourage crowding or anything like that. But, if you've got something that you can contribute, we're certainly happy to try and get you in the mix.
Honestly, that is true as fuck.
And also a little bit of advertisement out there. For everybody who is just tuning in, hi, welcome. Once again, welcome. There is a wedding happening Friday. It's actually me and Benjamin's wedding. Do make sure, guys, if you have RSVP'd for it, I much appreciate you guys. It'll help with security,
I just did mine.
guys in. If you have not RSVP'd, please go ahead and try to. I know a lot of people may not RSVP. You'll still have a chance to get in. Just know it's gonna be a lot easier for all the events happening if you RSVP ahead of time, guys. The wedding is open to everybody. just do know you will be searched. There are to me no weapons. But there is going to be a last man standing snowball fight after the ceremony. And there's a nice chunk of cash for the last man standing. So do come, prepared, stockpile them snowballs, everyone. The pickup place is going to be happening at the casino. So don't drive to any of the places, guys. We have limo services available for you. So transportation will be available and readily for your service all night long. So do not worry about, being lost or, not having a way of travel. Yeah, definitely show up. Just come out, come have some fun, enjoy the time. We're gonna be partying. We have a movie set. We have quite an event that night set for everybody, and I hope all of you enjoy it. Do come dressed in white though, and that sounds a bit odd, but yes, all of our guests, we do ask everybody to dress in full white, please.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, to be honest. It sounds like a really good time.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Absolutely.
And of course,
So,
I was gonna say, and of course, for everybody who's not gonna be able to make it on the 17th, Dr. Troy here is going to be taking over my duty on that day and actually becoming the main voice of the podcast. And he's going to be going live
That
to
smooth
help.
ass voice.
He's going to be going live to help me on my special day and air it out for everybody who who can't be there to actually listen in and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to return that favor because I greatly appreciate you being able to do that during our wedding, and being able to do it during your wedding is going to be amazingly awesome.
Of course, definitely. I just pray the snow sticks. Oh my god, I want the snow to start sticking again. I'm so sad that it got warmed up so much.
Yeah, you can't. It's that California weather. You can't account for. It was kind of. It's. Yeah, I mean, it's so rare to see snow out here, let alone for it to stick for a little while. So maybe we'll get it again. It's hard to say.
By the way, is that a service that we're thinking about offering?
What? Hosting weddings?
Covering, yeah, hosting weddings.
Yeah,
covering.
that is yeah, that was actually gonna be posted out a bit later, but thank you, sissy. No, she had.
Sorry, my
clue.
bad. I didn't know, so I'm sorry for.
Yeah, no, it didn't interrupt anything. We were actually gonna talk about that a little bit after the wedding. But yeah. For everybody who is getting married out there, do know you can come to the podcast station. We'll be more than happy to cover it live for you. And there also will be video footage of it later down the road that you can send out to everybody. Let people see it. So if you do have a wedding or even any events, we'll be more than happy to to go out to you guys, cover it, talk with you, and everything. Just let us know. #podcast. Come down by the record company if we're not live, or you can always email us, one of us directly, and we'll be more than happy to work something out for you guys. But we definitely love working all these events and everything, and it's definitely the best. I love the weddings, and it's amazing to see all the individuality that everybody has when it comes to their special day.
Yeah, the opportunity to promote great ideas and events and experiences in the city. Very, very cool.
And also for everybody who who may just be tuning in, who knows that we are live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, do know that tomorrow's planned Wicked Wednesday will not be happening. It's because rehearsals are going to be going. Yeah, they're gonna be rehearsals are happening tomorrow, so there will be no podcast.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we will get back on regular schedules. Just this month is super busy, so please forgive us
Super
and
packed.
be patient with us for every day that we miss. But we'll be back on schedule once everything passes and everything's back to normal.
We'll definitely, get back into the routine, getting things set and everything. Just with all events, it kind of makes it a little bit haywire, man. Because we love to be at the events, and like what Troy said earlier, we have some form of intervene, with all events. So
Yes, working with the city as event planners now, that's definitely exciting stuff. Hectic, busy stuff, but exciting.
it is definitely fun, And of course, with the fact the podcast, we would never want to, take anything from somebody's special day, which is why we're more than happy to be there with you, with the couple or whoever on their special day, and cover it, really let everybody see, be there for your day who can't actually be there.
Yeah.
Right, and that's
We
something I
love.
think. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we love doing events because it's new experiences for us. So we're able to meet new people and get to
Hmm.
hang around and talk to people, and who knows, we might end up finding people that want jobs and stuff and help them out. It's just great having all these events going on and being able to meet all these people.
I was gonna say too, just from personal experience, it's really nice how the podcast crew is smaller scale, so there no huge news crew on your wedding day trying, soaking up attention, taking anything away from what you've got set up. It's they're able to record the event with body cam video and the portable microphones without having a large crew interrupting anything. So you get the coverage, you get the exposure without any distractions. So if that's something that might be a concern for some people planning events, it's not something you have to be worried about. People won't even unlike, there's, it's not labeled like this is the podcast team, come interact with us. It's it's about capturing the event in a low-key manner naturally, which is really great.
Yeah, I can definitely say for of course, as you know this personally, Dr. Troy, for yours and Shorties and Z's and I know I just said the couple's wrong. Sorry, just mentioning off people in random, and also
Right.
Ben's. No, all yours weddings. My sis here was actually the one who worked on our microphones for us. She knew that we were gonna have to be working with roses and everything, and she set that up for us beforehand. And gave me a microphone that was enveloped in a fake rose. So it's really cool. It's really blended in. Not large equipment or anything like that. So it's really subtle.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable for capturing events, like, again, without creating a distraction. So I really do recommend it for anybody. For it takes away some of the worry of having to go, oh well, certain people won't be able to experience this if I put a cap on the number of people that can attend. Well, there are ways at least for people to experience it, interact with it in a digital manner. So it's nice. It's really nice to have.
Of course, of course. And as for yours, you were able to see the view from your wives now, and I know you really appreciated being able to see that footage, from the other side.
Yeah, pretty cool, especially like in an again in a natural manner as it's happening, as you were part of the wedding party. It's very unique. It's not very many people that get to experience that, so that was awesome. And I'll be able to do something similar because I will be one of Ben's groomsmen, so
Of
it'll be
course,
very
of
cool.
course. I'll be able to, later down the road get to see, what it's like for all the men, who
Right.
huddle all together, all the craziness you guys will probably do.
I can
Well,
just imagine them all getting drunk last minute.
I mean, it's yeah.
don't
Ben
recommend that.
Ben was like, "That was the plan. Don't call me out."
No,
I
Ben's
mean-
Ben's plans probably write things last moment. Like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, right the last minute while being drunk.
Then there's me.
Good
I'm gonna go
lord.
have a chill with the motor
Please
and
do
just
not
smoke 'em.
write them last moment. Oh, good lord.
As long as it's from the heart. You notice she didn't say don't write them drunk because
No,
that like
just don't write them last moment.
go ahead and get tipsy tonight. Bang those things out, and you'd be good to go.
Hey, I did tell him, a lot of people do consider alcohol to be the truth serum, so.
Well, to a great extent, that is true.
Yep.
A lot of people say the truth when they're intoxicated, so. You never
Oh,
know what's going to
I
come out of
don't
somebody's mouth.
personally.
Yeah, just don't get too tipsy. You don't want to. You want to be able to write
But
still.
say don't be shit-faced.
You want to be able to write, not
You wanna
not
more
wake
than
up
Or
the
you
just be
next
could
able to
day with
write.
your
record
feet
it.
on the table.
Voice record
I
it.
was about to say more than just be able to write. You're gonna want to be able to read what you wrote.
You're gonna want to be able to remember what you wrote rather than last minute picking up the notes and then realizing, oh, this makes no sense.
Exactly.
But no, it's gonna be a fantastic day. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, same personally. Oh, I can't wait for this event.
It's gonna be fun. I know I was nervous, and a lot of you probably hear my voice is I'm a lot louder now. A lot of the
Yeah, I've
butterflies
noticed
have
that.
definitely subsided, and I'm feeling a lot better
The joy of the
Good.
podcast. Let's go.
right now.
Helps with all types of
Nothing like a
emotions.
good conversation to heal to
Hey,
heal the soul and
exactly.
body.
Hey, that is definitely true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
It helps
and
to
that's
talk.
again reiterating it is a good way to, because I know we're coming up on the finish line shortly here. Reiterating just communication. It's could not be more important. Remember, there's a lot of conflict and shade in the city, but at the end of the day, I think a good fair number of us came to the city to communicate, to interact with people. So remembering that
That's what it's all
and
about.
trying to be open to communication, that's going to lead to what I would expect to be hopefully relationships that last a long time. No matter who you meet in the city, having the ability to or the willingness to communicate can really lead to friendships that lead to families. And there are gunshots in the distance as we talk about conflict in the city.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you
Right
very
on,
much.
Thank you,
just
people
on
for
tune,
just proving
guys.
it.
Criminals out
On
here
subject,
listening.
great timing.
Great time.
It's just a guy
Just
standing
happens to
outside
prove the
firing
point
an
right
AK
there,
up
you
into
know.
the air.
It's like conflict gun shooting.
Speaking of, bap bap bap.
Ba 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 ba. Just a man standing outside with an AK just shooting up into the air, just like.
And yes, listening to the podcast, like, oh yeah.
Yo, what
Bang,
conflict
bang, bang.
What if
did
my
you
st-
go?
if your stress relief is popping off a few rounds into the sky, I just go to the shooting range,
I was
because
saying,
bullets.
Just do it
Yeah.
safe, because they do come back down.
That's what I was gonna
They
say.
do.
Or and
It's
if
one
you
of Newton's first laws.
if you hit an aircraft, that's a federal crime. So
Ooh,
just
Oh,
be
yes.
careful.
yeah.
So many these days.
Definitely do keep, be careful, guys, when you are shooting off,
Yeah.
as fun and stress relieving as that may be. Do watch your area if you are doing something like that.
Yeah, especially with this day and age with how much travel there is, like, don't want to accidentally shoot a plane.
Or worse, shoot a hot air balloon that's traveling over by.
Ooh.
Oh God.
Oh, God.
Or
That'd be
someone
very bad.
Yeah.
or someone 5 miles away. Those bullets travel far
Yeah.
shooting straight up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They do.
You're not shooting an old
happened.
single action army that's going to go a few hundred yards. These things go miles now. That's
You could hit someone 3
Imagine-
towns over.
I'm
It's true.
I'm just thinking and somebody shoots up in the air, and you just hear an explosion. You're like, oh fuck, what do I do? You're shot in
Oh,
the air, and you
shit.
just see hot air balloons falling from the sky. Fuck.
Oh, no.
Hot air balloons are expensive, man.
They
Luckily,
are.
hopefully, and luckily, a hot air balloon can land safely with a hole in it.
As long as
But
it
still,
doesn't, explode.
They can. They're actually
Yeah.
chambered inside for that
Mhm.
reason. But a bullet will go
Yeah, there
through
All
many
of it.
chambers. So
There's also gas in there that you
No
kind of
longer
don't want to
parachute.
shoot.
No longer a balloon; it's a parachute now.
We don't want the Hindenburg happening, whatever the thing was.
I mean, you
Just-
may be more so free falling, because I do believe when we went hot air balloon, they do not give you a parachute in case.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't.
well,
You just-
on perhaps not great recommendation from he who shall remain nameless, my wife and I on our first date went in a hot air balloon with we went with the intent of going parachuting, but we went on a hot air balloon to do so on this recommendation. And never do that, folks, because your parachute might get quote unquote caught on the hot air
There's
balloon.
rotors underneath.
No.
There's rotors underneath.
On
They
our
fuck
first
you
date, I
up.
watched my wife fall 1,000 feet, thankfully land on a soft enough surface that she was okay enough to go to the hospital. But good
Did
God,
they tell you about the rotors underneath?
no, they didn't, and I think that was the problem
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
that
she
is
when
got
we
the
jumped.
caught. Oh no.
She got caught on them rotors, even. Oh,
What about
that's
you? How
horrible.
were you? Did you choose to jump, or did you?
I did. I jumped and somehow, thankfully, made it without issues. So I landed after I popped my chute and was able to get her to the hospital. It was that alone was a miracle.
Oh, good
But
Lord.
That would have been a
What a
stressful
mood
time.
killer.
Sheesh.
Oh.
Talking about stress, your partner's just there on the ground. Like,
yeah, well,
geez.
it really too. It kind of expound. I was still practicing medicine in the state at that point, so I was
Oh, so you weren't able to
also
resuscitate.
operating. I was. We got back to the hospital, and
Oof.
I did the surgery. So.
Oh, good Lord.
You're
Fun
just learning and you have
times.
to do a
Well, at least you
surgery.
had somebody
Damn.
by your side who knew a bit of what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're gonna jump, do something crazy. Do it with a doctor, I guess.
Definitely. Always make sure you have some form of help somewhere, hopefully close
That's why
by.
we're having EMS at our. That's why we're having EMS at your wedding. So if anything goes bad, we've got somebody to help people.
Well, it
Alright.
was a lot more for the last man standing. Because if
Yeah.
you do fall down, you are staying down until the end of the fight. Until the end of that snowball fight.
So if you get hit in the head, you're
So if you get
down.
knocked out from a snowball, you're a bit knocked out until the end of the fight, guys.
Gotta have them headshots on point then.
I really can't wait for that to really be picked up.
So
Really be seen. What would be interesting? Dr. Troy, are you gonna be joining that snowball fight, or will you be solely capturing it?
Just to make sure I don't get hit in the face with a snowball and fall unconscious, and I'm not able to get certain angles, I'll probably more be capturing it.
yeah,
We
that's fair
may
enough.
may need to give you a few pizzas beforehand.
That would
Yeah.
yes, that theoretical body armor might come in handy. There's nothing like a good pie to get your spirits up.
Exactly. Warm you up so the very cold snowballs don't really affect you that much.
It'll warm you up.
Absolutely.
Oh, but
It's a nice tight hug for your stomach.
This was some very nice story time for the end of the podcast, guys, because we are about 1 minute now away from our 2-hour mark. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in for today's segment. We really did go over a lot, and it really did change moods as the time went by.
Yeah.
And I got a lot better as well. So it's nice for feeling a lot more like myself right now than I did at the beginning. But definitely thank you to everybody who tuned in. My name is Rarity Blair. I am here with my co-hosts Al, and I'll let everybody say something before it ends. Starting with Ben, the one who's been quiet most of today.
Oh, okay.
Man's been quiet the whole time.
All I got to say is, stay healthy and talk to people about your problems.
I can just
That's
hear the
pretty much the
dial-up
whole thing.
wearing up when you ask Ben.
I'm
Just
trying
in
to
his
think of
mind.
it.
I'm just playing with you.
Yeah.
For all of
Yeah,
you guys who don't
that's
know,
about
that
to
is
say that.
Benjamin Riley currently who's speaking.
Yep.
Yep.
And next we have Dorian Troy.
Yeah, they said continue on that. Again, communication is key. Communicate with one another, friends, family, loved ones, strangers. You never know who you're going to meet. It's the holidays. Be good to one another. Stay safe. And, if you either join us for the wedding or tune in for the wedding because it's going to be a lot of fun either way. And thanks for tuning in now, too.
Shy.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for listening, and I hope we have opened your eyes to a lot of the the issues with mental health and a lot of bringing it more aware and just be kind to each other. You don't know what's going on with someone.
Of course.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
So, going off what Troy said, talk to new people because you're never gonna have these experiences if you don't talk to no one. You've got to put yourself out there. That's what I tried to do, and it's worked out for me so far. So, even if it doesn't work out the first time, you've just got to keep trying because you'll eventually find that group of people that you connect with and just respect all together.
Honestly, I believe that couldn't have been said better. My name is Rarity Blair, everybody. I want to thank everybody once again for tuning into the podcast. We appreciate the communication between everybody, and we do hope to see everybody at the wedding on Friday. And of course, then tune in also to Thursday, because hopefully we'll have one more podcast before the wedding itself. If that does happen, it would be with Juice, and once again, Dr. Troy here will actually be going. Will be the main voice of it. Me and my team will still be around, but we're just gonna kind of get him into the grasp of going live, so he can cover it freely for the wedding. But thank you everybody once again for tuning in. We love all of you guys. We appreciate you. You guys are a lot of the reasons why we do this. And just make sure you're out there taking care of each other. Stay safe, stay healthy. Do well. And this is a podcast team signing out. Bye, guys.